Fantastic. Well, thank you very much for the session. I hope you enjoyed it, and we look forward to seeing you next. Joking. Thank you for those who have come online today to attend this session. My name is Alan Stewart. I am the Director for Careers and Employability at Middlesex. And I'm going to talk to you very briefly today about skills for the future, and what those look like, what the modern workplace is going to look like beyond the current situation with COVID-19, and just hopefully throw in a few new terms for skills that employers are talking about. So, first of all, what does the workplace look like? Well, years ago, way before I was born, the workplace was pretty dull, and looked a bit. Everyone was in black and white. The world was black and white, and it was a little bit kind of dull, boring, and you were pretty hemmed in. Whereas if you look at the picture below, that's kind of more reflective of the modern workplace. Open plan, working in different spaces, being much more mobile about where you work in the office, as well as remote working at home. And it's likely that that will only increase given the current situation of COVID. So that actually has a different mindset. There are different skills. If you're working on the top picture in that desk from 9 until 5, there's a different skill set compared to if you're working in that open plan office. And that's, for instance, how you communicate with people, how you make decisions. It's likely that some decisions about your work and your tasks and the things that you will be doing as part of your job may well be made while you are making a cup of coffee at the communal coffee machine in the corner of the open plan office, and you happen to be there at the same time as your manager or your boss. Flexible kind of approach to working in many places now. So there are some different skills that are required in the modern workplace. Traditional skills that we've talked about within employability and careers have tended to focus around team working and problem solving and communication and presentation skills, and they're all a little bit dry and a bit dull, and they, we just expect those now. We've moved beyond that, and there are new skills that are being considered and need to be considered by you as a potential employee or a candidate. One thing we can be sure of is that the workplace is changing in the way that how people are hiring, both in the processes that they're using to hire and recruit, and certainly we can take the current situation with COVID as a really good example of that. Everything has moved online, so there are pretty much no face-to-face interviews going on at the moment. It is all about online interviews, online assessment centers, online situational judgment test processes, and that is likely to continue to some extent even beyond the current lockdown and COVID-19 impact, as organizations and employers recognize that actually they can continue to recruit and onboard graduates even through an online process. The other thing that's changing, which is way beyond time and at long last, is the range of employees and the diversity and social mobility aspect of the workforce. More and more large employers are recognizing that a diverse workforce is a much more productive, much more critical, thought-based workforce, and therefore much more impactful positively on their business. So the smart hirer in the future will be creating a culture which is mixed, diverse, with people from all different backgrounds and ethnic backgrounds, gender, and educational backgrounds as well, making up the modern workplace, because that's when you get real innovation and real creativity happening. And that is really positive for Middlesex, because we are a hugely diverse and profoundly proud diverse workforce, or student cohort, if you like, at Middlesex. And so the terms that I push to employers, and they all nod their heads and agree, and this, you know, they this is where they're working, the kind of area they're working is looking at potential over polish and capability over capital. So what I'm saying there is they are looking for people who can prove that they really want to work in that environment. They may not be the finished article, they may not have all of the skills, and they certainly may not be from a kind of a privileged background, if you like, but they show enough grit, determination, and desire to take up that role. And again, that's a real positive aspect for Middlesex. So now we're going to just kind of touch on some of the skills that we hear from employers, and are looking, you know, more likely to be the kinds of skills definitions that we'll hear going forward, above and beyond the communication, presentation, team working terms that we're so used to. So I've kind of split these into 5 different areas, based around, I guess, the trajectory and the you know, the roadmap, if you like, of a project. And the first one I'm going to talk about is creativity. Now, that term, creativity, is probably the most sought after employability skill by employers at the moment. They are looking for graduates and new employees who can show innovation, show creativity, show a little bit of thinking outside the box. They are curious, they are proactive, and explorative, and they want to see the bigger picture. And all of those things shout out commercial awareness. And that is, again, a key skill that employers are really keen to see in new candidates. The second box there is around community and the ability to work together. And this very much kind of reflects this really positive move towards diversity and social justice and social mobility in the workplace. So the ability to work collectively, understand principles, be empathetic to those that you are working with, collaboration, the global citizen I put there, that is the ability to really understand different cultures, because it's likely that you will be working in a workplace that has a varied and mixed cultural workforce, and you may be working on projects and tasks and jobs, etc., that demand you engaging remotely with others in other offices or other organizations around the world. So you might be doing multiple projects in multiple time zones with multiple teams and multiple cultures involved in those. So Middlesex is fantastically placed to prepare you for that. If you do remember what it's like to be in the quad in college building, it's a fantastically culturally diverse melting pot of people from all different places in the world, and that is really exciting. So please value that when we do eventually get back on campus, because just soaking that up on a daily basis will help you understand that ability to work, you know, in that community perspective. Next one I picked on is planning and solution mapping and critical thought. That's always been a high on the agenda of employers. They'd be able to kind of think ahead and be able to think about future proofing, design thinking, being agile, and the ability to be convergent, to think about, okay, we've got all of these things, let's pool them together and and build something which is robust and resilient. Then on project, it's about solution delivery. Some of those things are, I guess, the more practical things, but include the ability to resource and be iterative. Iterative just means, for instance, building a web app or a piece of software. You may work in an organization that develops iteratively, so that they develop the first piece of that software, they release it, get some testing from users, they bring it back in, they review and evaluate the testing, they might throw it all away and start again, or they might iteratively build phase 2, phase 3. So that ability to kind of building block approach to work. And then finally, storytelling, which is really important, and that's, as you may have gathered if you've looked at any of the MBX works, marketing and our promotion material, it forms the core and the spine of what we do around telling your story and shaping your career. So the ability to share and inspire and communicate, and be able to network, which is increasingly important, and the ability to be able to influence. So can you provide a solid argument, a solid case, a business case or a project statement that will that your team will embrace, or your work colleagues will embrace and be on board with you? Can you sell that solution to your boss, or to a potential employer? So those are some of the terms that we hear more and more from employers. I'm just going to pick on a couple of those very quickly, that have come up in conversations with employers that haven't tended to be used previously. So the first one I'm looking at is explorative. That's really about being, the term is blue sky thinking, and the ability to kind of go away and just kind of conceptualize something. Now that might be, let's think of a real situation. You may be in a team and the line manager or your boss says, okay, we need to look at how we acquire that new customer segment, or that new user, or we need to reach out to this particular marketplace. The ability to explore your thinking, the ability to do some research, and the ability to be creative and innovative. That's explorative, and that kind of term will come up more and more as we move forward into this brave new world. Collaborate is a really strong one. At any point, wherever you work, you will be collaborating, whether that's in retail, in hospitality, in a top law firm, in a software development firm, in a business management setting. You will be collaborating with colleagues, with clients, with stakeholders, and your ability to be able to kind of collaborate positively is really, really important. Agile is a term which is used as part of a project management kind of philosophy generally, but it's been adopted on a more, I guess, personal basis for how you work. Are you able to adapt? Are you able to be flexible? Are you able to kind of very quickly recognize where there's maybe a barrier or an issue that you need to mitigate and get around? Can you be agile enough to change direction? And again, in any work situation that you find yourself in, that will be very important. The world is much more agile. The world is much more quick and reactive as well as proactive. And so pretty much any role, any job that you're in, the ability to be agile and be able to flex with your team and adapt very quickly. Again, it might be to acquire a new customer segment or a user, or adapt a piece of technology that your organization is working with. Um, that is really, really important. And task oriented is, employers just like to know that you can get things done. Employers have less time to handhold these days, and the term that they continually say to us is, we like to onboard new recruits and new graduates who are ready to hit the ground running, and they are not continually asking, how do I do this? How do I do this? The worst thing is kind of, what do I do next? What do I do next? What do I do next? The ability to understand your role, the ability to pull together your responsibilities, plan. Sorry, tasks. Managing your time, managing your tasks. I think I was about to say that that's highly valued by employers. So if you are asked to submit a report on the Monday, if you can manage your time and tasks and priorities and deliver that on the Friday, that will mean a lot. And so task orientation is important. Finally, networking, which probably one of the most important things nowadays is networking. And obviously we are restricted by physical networking face to face, but that doesn't mean that you can't online network. And LinkedIn should be on your favorites page every day at the moment, and connecting with potential employers, following companies, following organizations, and storytelling on LinkedIn. If you see something that you want to react to and comment or share or post, be the storyteller on LinkedIn, because 95% of employers will view your LinkedIn profile. And if they can see that you're active and passionate and engaged, that means a lot to employers as well. So just some of those different terms that we hear, beyond communication, teamwork, presentation, those are given. Those are standard kind of skills that we still need to practice, but we need to be considering some of these other skills, and they're important when you're looking at job descriptions, that you can understand what they mean and what they are looking for when you are trying to justify that you have that skill when you're applying for those roles. So starting to look at these new terms, and we will talk about these a lot more in our programs and support and activities, co-curricular activities with you. And obviously when you make your appointments to see your highly specialized, dedicated advisors, they will be highlighting some of these new skills that employers in their sector are looking for. Finally, I just want to touch on, what does this all lead to? And again, this storytelling. I can say that every time I speak to an employer or a recruiter, and I mention our approach around storytelling, that in the spine of the support that we provide to students is helping and supporting them to be able to tell their story confidently. They all absolutely get that. Beyond the CV and beyond everything else, the ability for you to stand in front or sit in front of a potential employer and be able to confidently articulate who you are, your lived experiences, your social cultural capital and values, and why you are, quite frankly, the best person for that role, without it being arrogant, but just telling your story. And all of the activities that you engage in above and beyond your degree. So the co-curricular activities that are on offer through MDX Works, volunteering, working with Students' Union, working through Unitemps, part-time work, but anything that you're doing, talk to us about them, because we can then help you reflect and identify those skills that you are learning, and then help you to be able to confidently articulate those skills. And many of those skills that we'll be helping you to articulate will, no doubt, and in the future, include some of those terms that we've covered very briefly today. So, telling your story, shaping your career, is vitally important. I don't think there's anyone on here who doesn't know what we do, but in case there is, MDX Works is your careers and employability service, and it is our genuine desire, pleasure, and aim is to work with you on an individual basis to prepare you for the world of work when you graduate. And for that, we want to work closely with you, not just on a one-off and checking your CV, but we want to ensure that we are providing you the best support. So signposting you to activities that you can engage in, which will help develop those additional skills, and helping you in applications and job searches, and all of the support that we can offer, you can find on mdxworks.com. And please do make an appointment with your dedicated employability advisor. Very briefly, some of the activities that we do. Again, you can find information about these as and when they run on mdxworks.com, but some of the key ones to look out for. MD Accelerator, our student startup program, that's completing now. So we have the final on the 25th of June. 6 budding entrepreneurs will be pitching to an esteemed panel for seed funding to the value of about £15,000. So if you are a student with an idea, a concept, a business idea, doesn't matter how wild or fanciful or out there it is, the better. That's what we want to hear. Come and see us, or just inquire with us about the next program for MD Accelerator. MDXL, I'm just going to highlight, is our project-based approach, and there will be quite a few things coming out about that in the next few months, about student projects, collaborating student projects together, or students working together on projects, real clients, real challenges. And again, I can categorically say that whenever we talk to employers about the value of a student coming out having demonstrated that they've worked on a real project, you are already a whole bunch of notches up in their estimation, because they really value that. So thanks very much for your time. I can really apologize. I can only apologize, sorry, for the breakout. I didn't pop to the toilet. My Wi-Fi disconnected. And if anyone does have any questions, please do put them in the chat line, and I will answer them now. Or if you would prefer just to email me, you can see my details on the screen now. And really happy for any one who's attending to make a one-to-one appointment with you as well.
Great, thank you very much. If anyone has any questions, or if you'd like to review the session, you can go and watch it on our YouTube channel. If there are no questions now, we could just stop here.
Great. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.